Hi, and welcome. I'm the Reverend Dr. Cheryl Gaver, Presbyterian minister of 3 congregations in Eastern Ontario, and thank you for joining us for this week's Puzzles in Faith. The question we're looking at this week relates to the fall. God kicks Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden. Was that a curse or a blessing? So, in case you've forgotten the story, it's from Genesis 3. God has created Adam and Eve, put them in the garden, and given them the command they can eat the fruit of any tree except the tree of knowledge. The serpent tempts Eve. She eats. She gives it to Adam. He eats. And immediately their eyes are open. They recognize they're naked. They hide from God. God realizes what's happened. He confronts them. They lie to God. And then he curses them and kicks them out of the Garden of Eden. That's the traditional story. And we've been paying for that original sin ever since. That's why we have problems. That's why the earth is not perfect. And we've got earthquakes and tornadoes and forest fires and volcanoes and all sorts of things. That's why we die. That's why we have diseases. The whole kit and caboodle goes right back to Adam and Eve. Well, that's not quite the way the story unfolds in Genesis. Yes, the serpent tempts Eve, and yes, she eats and gives to Adam, and he eats, and yes, they hide from God, and yes, they lie to God. God curses the serpent. God curses the ground. Basically says it's not going to be producing what it should be. And he tells Adam and Eve what's going to happen to them. But it's not a curse. It's almost a statement of fact. This is the consequence of what's going to happen. Eve, you're going to have children, but it's going to be in pain. And your relationships with your husband are not going to be great. Adam, your work life, you're going to be struggling. Everything's going to come to you, but it's going to come through hard work, not easy. Is that a curse or a consequence? Your choice. Either way, God kicks them out of Eden. And you say, well, surely that's a curse. Who wouldn't want to live in paradise? But stop and think. God kicked them out of Eden because he didn't want them eating from the tree of life that would give them immortality. Well, that sounds like a curse to me. You probably say. But think. If you have cancer, if you have a bad heart, if you have ulcers, if you have Alzheimer's, and you're going to have it, not just for the next 5, 10, 20 years of your life, but for hundreds of years, thousands of years, for eternity. Can you imagine living with cancer for eternity? Living with ulcers for eternity? Living with Alzheimer's for eternity? To me, that sounds like hell. I would rather die. And in a sense, that's exactly what God did. He kept us from eating the tree of life that would give us immortality. He's basically said, you're going to die. But it's also a promise, because with death, there is an end to suffering. With death, there's no more cancer, no more heart problems, no more ulcers, no more Alzheimer's. So, God kicking us out of paradise made us mortal human beings with finite lives. We live and we die. Is that a curse or a blessing? I leave it to you to decide. Thank you for for joining me. And once again, I'm the Reverend Dr. Cheryl Gaver. And thank you for joining this week's Puzzles and Faith. Take care and God bless.